Students, myself Rajni Sharma. I hope you all are safe and healthy. Today I am going to start a new chapter of democratic politics, constitutional design. As we noted in the previous chapter, that in a democracy the rulers are not free to do what they like. There are certain basic rules that the citizen and the government have to follow, and all such rules together are called constitution. And this chapter starts with the democratic constitution in South Africa. South Africa, from apartheid to the formulation of the constitution. The constitution can be defined as the set of rules and laws which the citizens and the government have to follow. And it is the supreme law of the country. It lays down the rights and freedom of the citizens and the power and the responsibilities of the government. Now, first of all, there is a need to know about the meaning, the policy of apartheid. Apartheid refers to the racial discrimination on the basis of the color of skin. Europeans followed the policy of apartheid in which the natives means the localites, the local people, called blacks, and the colored were treated as inferiors. Actually, the European, when they made their colonies in different countries, then they considered themselves more superior than the other people. That's why they followed this racial discriminatory policy first in South Africa. The blacks and the colored people could not live in the areas inhabited by the whites. They could work in these areas only if they had the permit to work in the white areas. If the blacks or the colored people they were seeking any work in the white areas, then they have to get permit for that work in the white areas. Even though they were not allowed trains, buses, taxis, hotels, hospitals, schools, cinema, libraries, theaters, beaches, swimming pools, public toilets were all separate for the whites and the blacks. And against this racial discriminatory policy of Europeans, now the blacks and the Indians began to raise their voice against the oppressive apartheid policy. And in this regard, the African National Congress led the struggle against the apartheid policy. Many whites who opposed the policy of apartheid also joined this organization and protested against the policies of the white government. Nelson Mandela led the struggle of the non-whites against the South African government. And because of this, because of all his efforts, the South African government detained, tortured, and killed many protesters and continued to rule. Nelson Mandela was detained and sent to the prison for a period of 28 years by the government. After so many efforts done by the African National Congress, they were able to get, or they were towards, a new constitution for South Africa. South Africa drawing of the constitution. Actually, there is a quite difference between the independence of India and South Africa. In South Africa, there was not a bloodshed like India, and both black and white. White means Europeans, and black means the natives, the localites of South Africa. The whites, blacks, and colored population of the country together formulated the constitution of the country. All came together and they formulate the constitution for South Africa. They decided that every section of society should be part of the constitution and should get equal rights. It means now they agreed to give equal power at every level to all without any discrimination. Some negotiations among the South Africans, which became the basis of the South African Constitution, are: first is the whites agreed to the principle of majority rule and the concept of one person having one vote. It means now the whites, now the Europeans, they agreed to the principle of majority, and the natives, the South Africans, were more in majority than the Europeans, and it means they agreed upon democracy and they agreed upon majority rule, and the person who got the majority in the election, then they gave that political power to that person. Second, the blacks agreed that the majority rule would not be absolute and the rights of the minority will not be taken away. It means now this is obvious that at that time the Europeans were in minority and South Africans were in majority, and that's why there was a fear of the absolute power enjoyed by the majority. But they give, the South Africans give equal rights to the minority so that they, the Europeans can't consider themselves disappointed, or they were feared about after the independence of South Africa, their all their rights were taken away by the majority. That's why blacks agreed on this. Third, the constitution further defined the way the government was to be elected and its function. Now, in this, they mentioned about how the government is elected and the functions of the government. Next, the rights and the freedoms of the citizens were laid down. Now, the basic rights and the freedom of the citizens are clearly defined in the constitution. Now, this is done for today. We will continue our next topic in the next lecture. I hope you all are able to understand this topic. Thank you for today.